Hola, Gringas and Gringos. We are Gringos Are Us, expats with a plan. And welcome to this week's discussion.
We're going to talk about what are we using software and program-wise to learn Spanish. Coming up next.
See you after the break.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's discussion is about the Spanish language programs that we are using to try to prepare for our trip to Mexico.
Estamos aprendiendo.
Estamos aprendiendo.
We are learning, and we realize that the programs we're using are probably going to be about 95% vocabulary builders and not so strong in getting us into the mode of being able to actually carry on a conversation. I've been using Duolingo now for almost 4 months. I've been every day. I have not missed a day, including my weekends. And it has really helped with the frustration level of trying to keep the feminine and masculine pronouns and everything in the correct order. But it has really done a good job as far as giving me a lot of the words, not a lot, it's given me a fairly healthy vocabulary. And until we are in country and going and having to utilize it and learning from our failures, that's when we're really going to see the benefit. But at least we have the backbone of having a 1,500 to 2,000 word vocabulary. We can get through a lot of situations just by having that part of it. And the patience of the Mexican people as we butcher the Spanish language.
Oh, that is so true. Eso. So what I have been using is Rocket Languages. I absolutely do like the program, but I haven't devoted the amount of time that I need to in sticking with the courses. My problem is I am so anal about it. I will take the first lesson and the second lesson, and then I'll get stuck with other things and not get to the next lesson for a few days. So then I start all over. I go back and do the first lesson and then the second lesson, and then it happens again. And then I go back and do the first lesson, then the second lesson, and maybe I'll get to the third lesson, but then it happens again. So I have not progressed past lesson number 3. I hang my head in shame.
But you got 1 and 2 down well.
Estoy aprendiendo.
See?
Hasta la próxima vez.
Now, a couple of the differences between Rocket Languages and Duolingo is Duolingo is an annual subscription. It's not very expensive. It was like $60 for a year. Mm-hmm. And it's renewable. It's one of those where they want your credit card, and at the end of the year, if you forget, don't worry. You're going to see a charge for $60. It's going to show up on your credit card statement. So that is one of the pluses, being that it is fairly affordable. The negative being that you got to pay attention if you don't want it to continue, because you're going to get charged again.
Well, and the negative also being that I have seen more than one person state, even from the perspective of their child, that although you think you're learning a lot, when you actually have to go and be conversational, you're not going to be there. But keep that in your expectations.
Absolutely.
So he's learning a lot of vocabulary, and I commend him for that, because he really does know a lot of Spanish vocabulary, which is always beneficial.
Hey, 2 months ago, I was able to carry on a very rudimentary conversation with 2 very nice people from Mexico who live now in New York City. Mm-hmm. And with a lot of help and prompting, but I was able to be somewhat coherent in the language.
Well, imagine where you might be now if that conversation happened.
Imagine where I would have been if I hadn't been drinking tequila. That would have gone a long
This
way
is
towards
so
helping the
true.
coherency as well.
But I'd also like to indicate that I do have older, and when I mean older, I mean they are at least 10 to 15-year-old versions of Pimsleur and of Rosetta Stone. Now, both of those, the material that I have, it doesn't have as much visual material. And of course, it really wasn't interactive, not like applications are today. Not when you can go to a website or have an app on your phone that actually is interactive. And Pimsleur in particular was always known as being an auditory program, one that you might put a CD in your car and listen to as you commute to work. But either way, I also have those, and there's something that we could both use just to see where we are, you know, just to try out another perspective.
CD in a car? They still have those?
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
That's how old these are. But, you know, I actually had gotten a bunch of them, well, you know, back in the day when there used to be things like Napster.
And we can't even put CDs in our computers anymore.
I know.
But
But
there are lots of ways of learning the language.
so another way that you can pick up on some Spanish are YouTube free Spanish lessons, such
Yes.
as those offered by Qroo Paul,
Right?
we mentioned in a previous video, and then Karencita.
Who actually will, for a fee, which it's her time and you're using it, will personalize a lesson and teach you almost on a one-to-one basis.
Right, and these are not by any means the only available online instructors. You can go to any of the expat groups on Facebook, you can search various websites, and you will find links to people who offer Spanish lessons to make you conversational.
Absolutely, because you've got to be able to get that part down. I mean, unless you want to live in a part of Mexico that is very dependent upon the travel industry, a la Riviera Maya, Cabo San Lucas, places like that, Puerto Vallarta, where the overwhelming majority of their income is derived from the tourist industry. Those places, you're going to have the ability to hear English spoken a lot easier than going off the beaten path. And it depends upon, you know, are you willing to pay for it? Because those places that are more of the tourist places and tourist driven are going to cost you more than those that are primarily for the locals. So, and it'll just behoove you, because it makes it a lot easier to ingratiate yourself with the Spanish, even if you're not great in speaking Spanish, but the attempt goes a long way.
Man, it sure does. They really do appreciate
Yes,
it.
and even if you're wrong, they'll work with you.
So another not really strange but not commonly mentioned way to improve your Spanish is watch Spanish programming.
Yes.
You can watch, if you live in an area that has Spanish subtitles and Spanish voiceover.
SAP. If you've ever wondered what that SAP stands for on your TV programming, that is second audio programming. And predominantly in the U.S., that second language is Spanish.
So you can set that.
And then you can in turn put on the English subtitles.
Yes.
So you can be listening to it in Spanish and reading it in English.
Or why not even take it a step further and do audio in Spanish and Spanish subtitles?
Well, you can once you get a little bit more comfortable, but if you're trying to just get the first grasp of what's going on, just to be able to go, okay, these are the words. As you start to hear them and they start dial in with the brain, you start going, I know that word. I know that word.
Yep.
I know that word. But the 4 words in between there, you're going, And the other part is unlike English, there are so many different connotations as you take the verbs. And you may know the main verb, but it's different for me, you, we, and they.
Right. Right.
Oh, and he or she. So
Us.
Well, us is we.
We.
Yes. Now we're in French.
You. That would be way.
But anyway, enough of that.
But additionally, not just your TV, you can do this with YouTube, Hulu,
Yep.
Amazon Prime, Netflix, and if you happen to have a VPN, set your VPN for a country like Spain or Argentina.
I would recommend doing it in Mexico, because if their Spanish is any
True.
different, I mean, you look at the U.S., if you tried to learn English, the difference from talking to somebody in New Orleans and talking to somebody in Boston is huge.
Boston?
You'd wonder if you were speaking the same language. So I would recommend going south of the border and getting the
Right.
actual Mexican version, because I'm sure there is a lot of English words that have been incorporated into there, some German words, whereas the Castilian version of the Spanish that is probably spoken in Spain is going to be different.
But ultimately, what is important about using these software options is these streaming services have this built right into them. So you don't have to go and pay for these applications that you may see popping up in places like your web mail or on a social media. Not necessary. You can, if you already stream Hulu and Netflix and whatnot, this is already built into your streaming service.
Yep.
So you can make use of it. And if you want to watch Days of Our Lives in Spanish, have at it.
What has Sammy done now? ¿Cómo te vas?
Anyway, that
Yes.
is our rundown on what we're doing about Spanish. He's got Duolingo. I've got Rocket Languages. Although, again, I hang my head in shame because I'm not utilizing it like I should. And then, of course, we have these older software versions of Pimsleur and Rosetta Stone.
Well, and we'll find out in about 9 to 10 months when we're back in country down there to get our residency card. That's going to give us a good opportunity to practice what we will probably quickly realize is such a little amount of Spanish,
It is.
but it will allow us to actually get some practice in. And since we're going to be down there longer, we're anticipating probably a month. That'll be twice as long as our longest previous stay down there. So we're going to get lots of opportunity to improve.
If you enjoyed this video, we're really asking that you give it a like and subscribe to our channel so we can watch it grow.
And remember to ring that bell so you'll be notified of new content when it drops. Remember, we are Gringos Are Us, expats with a plan.
We're doing it. You can too.
Thanks for spending the time with us. Hasta la vista.
Adios.